Welcome to the Geeks Review. The final chapter of the Star Wars saga is upon us. The rise of Skywalker. What does Kylo Ren make of this film?
It was a rough one.
And how about the Mandalorian?
That's an excellent question.
Good. Let the hate flow through you.
Hey, excuse me. Yeah, sorry, we've got this studio booked. Yeah.
Get out here, this is our studio.
Can you move, please?
Off
Thank
you get. Out of my chair.
I'll just redo that.
Geez, that's shorter than I expected.
Hi, welcome to the Geeks Review. I'm Royce.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Joshua.
Today we're talking about the final installment in the Star Wars saga. The Rise of Skywalker came out in December 2019. This is the 9th part in the series. It's dating back 40 years. It sees the conclusion of the stories of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, and new heroes such as Rey, Finn, Poe, and the villain Kylo Ren.
Going into this film, I garnered no expectation. I was told one thing: this will divide fans. And going in there, I could definitely see where this divides it, but I do enjoy the film. I just walk away with some personal issues I have with some of the storytelling.
I actually quite enjoyed it. Like, I do have minor issues with it, but we'll get into that with spoilers, but I thought, please be better than Last Jedi. And I was like, okay, I enjoyed it more than I did Last Jedi. So
I liked it, although I do have some issues with it. I think this is just a standard, Star Wars film. If you're a regular moviegoer, you're going to go in, it's going to be exactly the same. If you're a fan, there's probably going to be stuff you're going to like. There's probably going to be stuff you don't like. This is an interesting film that makes a lot of changes from what came before because there was such discourse online. And I do remember liking it, and going back to what I've said about the previous films in this trilogy, characters are the most important thing for me. I care about the characters. The story it's sort of there. Like, it's a hard story to sum up because it's like they go here, they do this, they find this, they go there, they do that. It's really just sort of like listing things in this, and it's really the characters for me that stand out.
I think everyone gives a good performance in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have an issue with anyone's performance at all. I thought everyone did a really excellent job. I wasn't bored throughout the movie. Like, the movie's very action-packed, and
so much
action-packed. I didn't lose interest in the story at all. And I actually, I thought that's a really decent job they did there. So
yeah, there's so much going on. It's like The Last Jedi had issues with pacing and such, and when you break it down, not much really happens, but it's like, how do you describe things that do happen? Because a lot does happen, but a lot doesn't happen. And I know that sounds contradictory, but it feels like they're really trying to pack in a lot of stuff because the core three haven't really met each other until now, and it seems like they're making up for lost time.
Yeah.
And trying to get them to go on these wacky adventures in a way before the plot really kicks into gear. It works for the most part, It was good to see them all, but I just feel sad that this is it.
Yeah, because they do have good chemistry in this movie.
Yeah.
All three of them discussing things, and they kind of clash heads with each other a little bit. But I agree with you. It's a shame that we didn't kind of get it sooner.
Last Jedi went off and did its own thing. It seems like there wasn't much collaboration, and there's a lot of going back and forth online. The people in charge now are saying, "Oh, we collaborated," and then the former director Rian Johnson's like, "Oh, I don't know. They just wanted to change things, or they wanted to do things." How they always wanted to do it. Which kind of feels like the issue here, because the big thing is that the character of the Emperor comes back. He was the main villain of the prequel trilogy. He was the background villain of the original trilogy. And now he's back because they went and killed Snoke, who was essentially the Palpatine. What did we think about him anyway? Because it's the original actor, Ian McDiarmid, back in the role.
Ian McDiarmid kills it.
Yeah.
He's back in the role. He's got the cowl on, and oh my god.
It
should have just been Ian McDiarmid from the beginning.
I do agree with you with that, because with Ian McDiarmid's performance throughout the prequels and the original trilogy, you just can't help but get amused by his performance, and yet he's so evil.
Gravitate to him.
For me, he carried the prequel trilogy, definitely. He was one of the few characters that actually carried it, and with him in this movie, I thought, wow, he does a fair bit too. And I'm like, like when we first see him, he's like very. It looks like his body's like decaying.
Yeah, he's missing fingers.
He's missing fingers, and
his lips are black,
and he's been held up by a massive mechanical arm coming from the freaking
great
ceiling.
horror aesthetic to him.
Yeah, so
Particularly
many.
with the lightning flashes, because you see one angle of the lightning flash, and then you'll see more angles with each flash.
Yeah, oh, that strobing was hurting my eyes.
Yeah, that actually, I thought that was really good, well shot. For that scene there.
Yeah, I mean, the story is that he's somehow alive despite being pitched down a hole by Darth Vader 30 years before, and he doesn't explain it. I don't think we need to. It's just,
They
Dark
came
Wizard.
out and said he was a clone.
Did it?
Yeah.
I actually have a theory
Well, not
about
in the
that.
film, but they...
Okay,
the
this
Twitter
is...
stuff.
This is an issue because you've got stuff like paratext, which is like additional, material that expands upon the original stuff, and that can be good. It helps expand characters, like Clone Wars, comic books, movie, all that stuff. But when you have to go and fill in holes like that, it feels a bit,
It doesn't feel like the puzzle
Leave a
piece kind of
mystery.
feels...
Or answer it in the text, have an answer in the thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it would have been hard for like Snoke to go, I'm a Dark Lord, projection of your former master.
Yeah.
That would have been a bit awkward. Or to have Palpatine,
I was reconstructed from cloned embryos.
it's a bit, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, that's not necessary, mate. I don't need to know.
No. Because, like Palpatine says himself, he made Snoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have a tank filled with 3 torsos.
A tank of Snokes.
Yeah, also, too,
Get
which...
rid of
Because I was... Because it answered the question I had in 7, because when we had Kylo speaking to the Vader helmet, I'm like, Vader turned to the light, then why would he be communicating to Kylo through the helmet? Which Palpatine explains that he was the voice in Kylo's head.
Every voice he's ever heard.
Yeah, inside his head.
It's interesting you say that, because when I saw that, I thought it was either delusion or it is like a real thing where people, go and talk to their loved ones' graves.
Yeah.
Or, a picture of, Jesus hanging on the wall, or, they're someone they look, it's that sort of thing. It's like, it's not like he's actually communicating, but he's just opening up spiritually and just talking and all that.
So when it comes to Rey, she like trains in this movie and she does like full exercises. She's like jumping across cliffs and she's fighting against a trading probe. And I was like, yes, that's good. She's actually doing blast deflection training. She's balancing on a tree and all that. And it's good to see her get frustrated too, because I felt that like almost everything she was doing that was pretty well easy for her, and it's actually good to see her struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I still think she's a little bit overpowered. She's getting training, but it's just like, because it seemed like from 7 and 8 she just like barely had any training, and yet she was able to defeat like Kylo Ren and a few characters very easily. So Rey is revealed to be Palpatine's granddaughter. In my mind, I'm like, oh, that could explain how powerful she is. But to me, it doesn't explain how she's able to master Force abilities that would take decades for Jedi to learn. But then, like, people would argue, but Rey is trying to be the balance. Maybe she's getting the best of both worlds, because she's been trained by Leia in this movie, which I thought was really well done with Leia's scenes.
Yeah, because Carrie Fisher passed away a few years ago, so they went and reused old footage they had of her and hadn't used and repurposed it for this film. It's well done, I think, from a technical level, but it's just like she's just saying generic phrases.
Yeah,
as opposed to
it does feel a little...
It'd be like if Rey went like, Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, played by Alec Guinness specifically, I'm having trouble with this. Tell me these aren't the droids I'm looking for. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Thank you, Master Kenobi. Thank you.
I admit, I did feel a little bit that, but at the same time, they had to go with what they had. Like,
They should have used it more in their last film when they had her.
I do agree with that.
I mean, of course, no one could have anticipated she was going to pass away, but it's like, you had her. Why didn't you use her?
Yeah.
It's just...
I will admit they did really well with her scenes. Like, there's one shot I noticed that she looked a little bit like she was cut from a scene and just dropped on there.
She's there. The points I liked about this film was definitely the same thing going on with Last Jedi. The Force aspect was a lot more beautiful, but this time it was more focused to the Sith. And the Sith, I'd like to say, the Sith haven't gotten much love since the Disney purchase. Same with the Mandalorians. But the Mandalorians, they've gotten a lot of love with, Rebels, Clone Wars, and now the Mandalorian. And it just left the Sith sort of high and dry. But now you've got stuff like Wayfinders, Exegol, and all this beautiful stuff that I used to read about. And the whole dynamic between Rey and Kylo, it's evolved to something more believable, in my opinion. Granted, there are moments with them that I'm not too keen on.
Which moments are these? I mean, we could talk spoilers.
These would definitely be the redemption of Kylo Ren could have been done a little better, in my opinion.
A lot better, I think, in some places.
And the kiss at the end.
That's kiss. Ugh. So Ben,
I didn't have a problem with the kiss at all. Like, I actually liked the dynamic what they had, and like,
you're a Kylo Ren cosplayer, and your sister dresses up as Rey, and you told me you already get pestered.
So we doing a Carrie and Luke thing over here?
no, all right.
That's gonna happen.
How did I know that was gonna come up?
Oh, it's gonna happen.
Like, I've had people come up to me during cosplay events. They're like, I was like, oh, I reckon Kylo and Rey are siblings and all that. It's like
it would have been
people keep getting me and my sister confused. I was like, oh, are you still a couple? Like, no, we're brother and sister. They're like, oh. And then
if they were siblings, it would have stopped that dead. Because we talk about fan influence, and fan influence feels like it really had a lot of say in how this film turned out. But there's still expectations people had, and the reality doesn't quite meet those expectations. Even for me, I like this film for the most part, but there's this whole community who think that Rey and Kylo Ren should get together because they're male and female. Pretty much it, and they have some good chemistry, despite the fact that he's an abusive dickhead, if I can say that on the radio. A manipulator, and she's, constantly being harassed by him. It's weird, and they kiss at the end. A friend said to me, I was sort of like feeling a bit on this, but a friend said to me, they realise that Rey is like this really compassionate person. Like, ever since we see her in the first film, she runs to the aid of BB-8 and like takes him in when she didn't have to. She's a compassionate person who cares for other people and wants to help, and that's her whole deal with Kylo Ren. She wants to turn him back to Ben Solo because she thinks there is this conflict with him, and she wants to turn him back towards good. So she's just happy, I think, in that moment to see that Ben is finally there, that he did the right thing, and she kisses him more out of relief because Rey dies. Rey straight up dies. I thought, wow,
ballsy.
Yeah, they killed her, but then of course they go and introduce this new force power of force healing.
Force healing's been there for a while.
It's been there for a while.
Oh, they introduce. I know it's been there, so I'm like, oh, cool. They've brought that in, but I mean, they brought it into the films, and like, this is a thing that actually happens. Like all that Qui-Gon Jinn needed to do was put his hand to his heart and think.
Or Obi-Wan doing it to him, but then again, Obi-Wan's a Padawan, so he probably wouldn't know how to do that. So.
It does open up a lot of weird things with the originals.
But people say it kind of contradicts with like the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. It was like, so you couldn't do that before?
I guess it's really down to... I mean, Kylo Ren, he transfers his life force through to Rey to resurrect her and dies in the process, which I laughed at. I'm sorry. A lot of people laughed in my cinema when he died. There was like this... When she kisses him, there was like this... I could hear throughout the audience, and I was like, trying not to make a noise, but like, oh no.
Actually...
And then he dies, and everyone's like, ha, ha.
Because when I watched it the third time, I was sitting there because just as Rey gets resurrected by Kylo, and I'm hearing people in the background go, "Please, please, please," and then they kiss, and I hear like three people going, "Yes!"
Yeah.
and then they didn't say anything when he vanished.
But yeah, I saw it. Like my friend said to me, it's more like she's relieved in that moment. He's redeemed himself, and then because she doesn't cry, she seems content and like happy that he's like found peace, and she's like, "Oh, good on you, mate. You did the right thing. Well done." And then she goes and runs home and hugs her friends, and that's that. There, she loves her friends. So that's a major thing. And it's the same for the deal with Last Jedi. Really, there was a kiss at the end that made me go like, "What?" Okay, that's the thing. The character of Rose introduced in the previous film is just sidelined, so it's just like, well, what was the point?
There's a lot of lines to go around and a lot of film. This should have been 2 films. Granted, okay, it's a trilogy, but also the norm nowadays is if a film's too big for a conclusion, split it.
Yeah.
It's more of a money-making thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit, and Disney's not going to say to no to money, but this was definitely a rush to 2 films, and there was too much to take in.
It was trying to cover a lot of ground because there wasn't the collaborative.
Yeah, and this reinforces my idea of there should have been more continuity, because the Rise of Skywalker in certain parts felt more like JJ's, sitting in the back, grooming his Star Wars toys, going, I will look after them better than what Ryan did.
There's an allegory I read online. It's like, the original trilogy is like a teddy bear you had, and now this sequel trilogy is like, it's a reproduction
Yeah.
or it's like it's like they fixed it and they patched it up and restuffed it, and then Rian Johnson took it away and did something new with it to try and make it its own unique thing, and then JJ's taken it back and gone, actually, let's patch that up again.
Yeah.
It's that sort of an allegory, which makes sense.
There's a detail that I noticed the second time watching is when Rey, because Rey looks for the Wayfinder, and it's in Palpatine's throne room on the second Death Star, which is on Endor. So she goes. What I noticed was this detail, which I thought, because when Rey goes to the Emperor's throne room in the Death Star, which was blown up in 6. She goes to this room which has a Sith Wayfinder in it, and just shortly after she grabs it, she is confronted by a dark version of herself, and there's a bit of a mini lightsaber duel, just like a 5-second thing. But when Dark Rey gets Rey in a blade lock, I noticed that she does a head turn like Palpatine does in Episode 3, but and then at the very end she just hisses at her, and
her teeth grow.
Sharp teeth grow, and her face changes a little bit. But I was like, the slow head turn. Just like her grandfather.
There's also I'm working on an artwork at the moment of Rey doing the lightsaber, and her pose is very Palpatine-like. I remember the duel in Episode 3. He does this sort of stab.
She did that in 7 as well.
Yeah, so Rey was made into a Palpatine. She was revealed to be the granddaughter of the Emperor, and her parents are Jodie Comer, which I really liked. Seeing Jodie Comer from Killing Eve and all that in this. It's directly contradicts what came before, although you could say, certain point of view and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
Which they did. They did say it's a certain point of view. I didn't lie to you, I've just withheld part of the truth.
Yeah, or, you could say. Yeah, because the previous film, Kylo Ren makes this big reveal. You're looking for answers in your parents, but your parents were nobodies and, they weren't anyone. But now the big reveal, actually they were. Your father was the son of Palpatine. That's a pretty big revelation. It's like learning your granddad was Hitler, essentially.
Pretty much.
But at the same time, you're not defined by your past. And I mean, none of us are defined by our pasts. And, we can choose to, either get bogged down in that and go, my grandfather was Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, and I'm going to live up to him. Or you can go, my granddad was Palpatine, and I'm not going to have anything to do with that, and I'm going to be my own person. And I think it works in a way, but it's still, a lot of people are then going to just focus on her being a Palpatine or taking the name Skywalker. Which she does at the end.
I felt that was a bit too on the nose, where she just takes the name Skywalker. Like, she gets asked by this woman, because she goes to Tatooine she sees the Force spirit of Luke and Leia, because the lady's like, who are you? She's like, I'm Rey. And then she just looks over, and then she's just a long pause, and you have that traditional Star Wars music, and she goes, Rey Skywalker, and then the movie just ends with the two sons, with her and BB-8.
And it's a beautiful scene.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I'm not too jazzed about taking the name Skywalker. I mean, I understand why.
I understand why too, yeah.
It's kind of... There are no Skywalkers. The Skywalkers didn't rise. What
Yeah.
we have is an adopted daughter at best.
It sounds like the adult film parody titled The Rise of Skywalker. I've seen that video online. It was not good. It's interesting in that final shot, actually, the suns, or the second final shot, the suns actually look like BB-8. They're like stacked on top of each other, and it looks like BB-8, and BB-8's in shot, so it's like you got BB-8 and then Sun BB-8. I don't know. I don't know how physics works. That's not how physics works.
But what are physics?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Star Wars. Every planet's got a breathable atmosphere and defined by one topographical feature.
This is true. But the film, it's got good points, it's got bad points, and when it's good, it is really bloody good. And I love the really bloody good stuff. When Kylo is straight up dark side, I have chills, and I never had that until this point.
Adam Driver is a really good actor.
Gives an amazing performance.
Daisy Ridley is really good in this. John Boyega is somewhat underused, as is Oscar Isaac, but they give what they are. I think C-3PO is like my favourite part from this.
Actually, mine too. Actually,
not too keen with the memory wipe. I mean, it's a beautiful moment, undercut quickly by a joke, and then suddenly it's just reversed.
Yeah,
because actually that's another thing I noticed with this movie. Like because in the trailers you see it's set up. C-3PO has to get his mind wiped, but then he eventually gets it back because R2 is like, I have your memory from who knows how long back. He backs it up. And it kind of feels like C-3PO's sacrifice to translate the Sith writing on the dagger, which Rey finds, that they have to find. It kind of felt like there was no risk at all.
No.
None at all. No.
Yeah.
It was just it was a lot of death fake outs. I mean, apparently a ship with Chewbacca gets blown up, and then 2 minutes later, oh no, Chewbacca's alive.
I actually sat in the theater and said, "I dare you, JJ, kill off Chewbacca.
If
See
they
what
did.
happens."
See, I thought they were going to kill off Chewie in 7.
Yeah, I thought they were going to kill Chewie off with the duel between Kylo and Rey on the
That's
Death
what I
Star
thought too.
ruins. And
Yeah.
that would have been an awesome trigger for the redemption.
Yeah.
Seeing that Chewie is still going to give his life for the guy who killed his dad.
Yeah,
Chewie's BFF.
We do. There's another death fake out, which is there's a duel between Kylo and Rey is at this point, she's exhausted, she's beaten down, because Rey is like this beacon of goodness, and she's constantly tempted by the dark side. She's told, "Oh, you're a Palpatine. He's evil. You're going to be the new Hitler. You're destined to be
The
this." And then
Empress.
she rejects this at every turn, and she fights Kylo Ren. And there's this moment where Kylo gets distracted because Leia decides to try and reach through the Force to communicate with Kylo, and in that moment he pauses. And this film has dealt with this thing of this connection between Rey and Kylo Ren, where they're able to interact with each other across the galaxy and actually take things from one another. There's this amazing duel they have where he's down on this planet's surface and she's up in his quarters on his ship, and he doesn't know that, but they're dueling each other and not really interacting with each other, but they are through the Force, and like they're
It's a beautiful
knocking
scene.
I really
Yeah.
like that scene.
they're knocking things over in his throne room, and that's when he realizes, wow, she's in my quarters,
Yeah.
she's in my room. Get out of my room.
Yeah.
so
Breaking my stuff.
so there's that connection there. So I thought during this fight that Leia had made this same connection with Kylo, and then Rey goes and stabs Kylo because obviously he's distracted, and Leia dies. So I thought, because of this connection, that Rey had killed Leia in that moment.
Ooh.
So I was like, oh my god, she killed that. That would screw anyone up. But no, that's
I
not what
didn't think
happened.
of it like that.
That's not what happened, apparently.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my god, of course Rey's going to have a complete mental breakdown now. And she does, she uses this force healing power and heals Kylo, and she runs away and she
Steals
hides.
the TIE fighter and goes back to Oct 2.
Yeah, hides on the same island as Luke and burns it, and is like going to live there as a hermit for the rest of her life.
Did you
because
notice
she's
that his scar on his face healed?
I didn't know, but apparently it does. Yeah,
Yeah, it heals as she's because it
That's-
starts
yeah.
off with the stab wound and then it slowly dissolves away.
Yeah, it would have been a bit awkward, like maybe if he had like pockmarks or something on his face, like from zits, and they didn't heal, or if they did airbrush them out and they wasted the rest of the budget on airbrushing out his pockmarks.
No, they just sprayed water on it and it just washed away.
There's interesting stuff like that, but as opposed to the last film, it feels like it's a lot more straightforward because they have come out and explained a lot of these.
Yeah.
It's a lot more swarzy. But there is one good thing. Like I'm going to quickly go back to the Sith stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It brings back. I know this is outside text, and you got to look at other external things to get this, but it links into the film. This film has canonized a bunch of old Sith lords.
That's true.
Darth Revan is now canon. Darth Tenebrous, the master of Darth Plagueis, is now canon. Darth Tanis,
Phobos as well
from Force Unleashed.
Yeah,
and
it's
a few
really
others.
it's a
And-
treasure trove of like lovers of the former canon. It's really brought all that stuff back.
And when you look, Ben, you love looking at the backgrounds.
Yes.
Exegol was I'm going to play Where's Waldo with the statues. And I'm
gonna have to look
pretty
at that.
sure I saw a statue of the KOTOR 2 villain, Darth Nihilus.
Oh wow, really?
Actually, I've heard talk about that actually.
Because there's a mask and you only see this much of the face. We can't see it, but pretty much just the mouth area. And the rest is covered by a mask and a hood. And I'm like, okay, it's a split second, but I swear that's Darth Nihilus.
Yeah, that would be cool. It's sort of like comic books in a way, because comic books are always getting rebooted, but it's like with Batman, the Joker still exists, Two-Face,
Yeah.
Mr. Freeze, but
Yeah.
it's just like, how are they going to bring those
These
characters into this
now
canon?
exist, but what is their story now? But
Yeah,
it's the same with Bane. He's canon, and I can't wait for them to do a Bane series,
Me too.
comic or otherwise. And even when Kylo is using the Wayfinder to find Exegol, that mapping a chart through hyperspace, Bane did that to try and find other lost planets during the original Bane books.
So for you, this is really like a great film because it introduces and brings new
That's what
things.
made it better for me, because it brings
It
stuff
adds
back.
more.
It adds more, returns it back, like Palpatine using Force Leech to gain power and youth back, and then becoming all EU Palpatine with his giant electric skybeam.
Yeah. Oh man, we haven't seen a Skybeam in a film for a long time. Eh?
No, but it was this is the Palpatine I read about after watching the original trilogy. This was Palpatine pulling ships out of hyperspace, using Force Maelstrom to just bugger things up. The one that turned Luke to the dark side.
Yeah.
Yeah, final thoughts, Ben?
Well, for me, I've watched this movie 3 times. I'm going to go watch it again. I still enjoy the movie. I always love looking at the details. Out of 10, I would actually give it a 9.
Well, that's big talk there.
Yeah.
I'm less generous.
Yeah, I
unfortunately.
was really emotional during this film because I was so invested in the characters. I just wish there was more and we didn't waste time with some other things in previous films. But I think, it's a solid film. If you're not really into Star Wars and you just watch these casually, it's going to be fine. It's perfectly serviceable. It's not like they go and take a massive poo on
Yeah.
on the thing. And there's been worse Star Wars things out there. I've sat through the holiday special several times. It's fine. It's good and it's not going to please everyone, I guess. But when the films, people need to manage their expectations.
I enjoyed the film. I have my personal gripes, and the stuff that I enjoy really shine through. I'm not going to give it a 9. I'm not even going to give it an 8. I'll definitely say it's a solid 7.9 for me.
This has been the Geeks Review. So that is 9 Star Wars episodes coming to a close. 4 episodes, and we hope you found some enjoyment listening to us just ramble on about them.
Yeah.
Give it a watch.
Give us a listen.
This has been the Geeks Review. I've been Royce.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Joshua.
And we'll see you next time.